It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Dubuque University's head wrestling coach, Coach Jon McGovern. How are you doing today?
Good, Brandon. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college wrestling?
Yeah, sure. I think just at a young age, I always like to inspire and motivate others to be their best. You know, just whether it was in college when I started, probably when I started encouraging guys that quit the sport. That one of my teammates quit and came. I got talked him into coming back out. He became an All-American, and our team won the conference title. And to this day, we're best friends. But just seeing people achieve things maybe they thought they couldn't do on their own is just something that's very gratifying. And so I think that's when it probably hit in college mostly.
What was that experience like going to Central College and getting to put on that singlet for them?
Well, it was a great experience for me. All my family went there. I have two older brothers and an older sister and younger sister. All five of us went there, and it was kind of like a family experience for us. So I just knew the coaches and the community. The president at that time, Ken Weller, was a true uh, supporter of student athletes and the experience, and it's just a great campus environment and a great campus community. They just had support. Greg Lonning recruited me there, and then Kevin Azinger coached me. Kevin wrestled with my brother Kelly McGovern, and so it was just a great experience for me to wrestle for Central College at that time, and just great experience, great relationships.
What was that experience like being a two-time NCAA champ?
It was very, I guess, very invigorating, rewarding, and also just realizing like you don't do it alone, and just all the people and support from your parents, my parents that took me everywhere, my brothers who got me into sport and coached me up, teammates and the coaching staff, and just I guess just that experience, like just knowing like your goals came true, and so and then it kind of helps you just believe you can keep doing those stuff and manifesting things that you believe you can achieve.
Of course, after college, what was that experience like going to compete for the Olympics and going to the Olympic Festival?
Well, I didn't make the Olympic team. I was second on the USA national team. In 1994, I made the U.S. Olympic Festival with guys like Roland Gardner, who was an Olympic gold medalist, and Mike Mena, just a lot of good guys on that team. Matt Lindland. Anyway, got to win that, and that was kind of like where they hosted like an Olympic festival in St. Louis. They did the Olympic parade, everything, all the sports with university graduates, and they did it. They were going to keep doing it, I think, but I think it was the only year they did it. And then '96 they had the Olympics, and so I don't think they ever ran a really an Olympic festival. I don't know of that for the university age students, but I was able to win that with high level guys. I had you had to qualify at University Nationals. I had guys like Dan Henderson, Les Gutches in my bracket, and they took the top four from University Nationals there, and just a great experience. And then in 2000, in the Olympic trials, I was fourth in the trials, but there were some really good guys in that bracket, like Cale Sanderson, who later became an Olympic gold medalist in 2004. Um, it was some great competition. He didn't even place, and that's how it just shows you got to persevere in the sport and just keep going and not quitting.
What was that experience like for you getting involved in coaching and first becoming a grad assistant?
Yeah, my first position in coaching was a grad assistant at Wisconsin Lacrosse. Greg Lonning was my coach there. He coached me to Central College, and then he left for Wisconsin Lacrosse. So I got to coach there and just learned from him how to just build the team and care about everybody and just make them feel like family. And just he was just super motivational and just very just believed in you. And that kind of transferred into me. So he told me to go to the Hawkeye Club after that. And Dan Gable gave me a stipend after Bart Chelsvig left. And so I wrestled with Dan Gable in the Hawkeye Club for 3 years and learned a lot from Dan Gable and the way he trained and his mentality. I got to hang around Tom and Terry Brands and those guys a lot and just learning just the mindset and the work ethic. So that was a great experience for me as a grad assistant, that my coach wasn't limiting me to just serve, but to help me expand my opportunities in coaching at the Olympic level.
Of course, what was that experience like going to Virginia and becoming an assistant coach for the first time?
Well, it was a new experience for me. So I left the Midwest, went to Virginia, and got to coach with Lenny Bernstein. And I was a young coach, so I got to train with guys like Steve Garland, their current head coach, Jim Harshaw, Alex Akeek. And it was probably one of the most fun experiences I had because I didn't have the stress of a head coach and had the relationships of an assistant coach. And it was just those relationships to this day. I keep in touch with those guys. And it was a great experience at Division I at a great school, beautiful campus at the University of Virginia. And I was fortunate to be there, and I took a pay cut. And I actually left for George Mason University. Kind of had a girl I was dating, but it was also about training with Johnny Curtis, and he was my training partner, and he lived in George Mason. So I moved there, took a pay cut to train for the Olympics, and he helped me be an Olympic gold medalist. I actually beat 2 Olympic medals that year. Was number 2 on that team, but sometimes you have to make sacrifices for money to reach your dreams, and that's kind of why I left. Probably what I would say is a better school, better experience, and better pay for just a dream.
Of course, going to Pennsylvania, what was that experience like being their assistant coach?
That was a great experience. I mean, that you had Roger Reyna, now the head coach there, Brandon Slade, Brian Dolph was there. And it was they were close with the Dave Schultz family, and I started wrestling for the Dave Schultz Club with Nancy Schultz and traveling the world and wrestling for US and the world team duels and going to a lot of competitions. And living on the East Coast in PA was easy to get to, either Ukraine or France or whatever trips we need to go to. And then the coach was super, passionate about the Olympic level and NCAA level at that time. And it was the Ivy League school, Wharton Business School, and some of those relationships I have with those guys. I mean, Brett Motter, Andre Radzinko, Yoshi Nakamura. I mean, the room was just so talented. And then Brandon Slade, it was just a great experience for me. And then actually after that, my relationship with Brandon Slade, then the next year I moved to Olympic Training Center, and Brandon Slade was at the Olympic Training Center. He made the Olympic team, but I trained with him at the Olympic Training Center for a year. My roommate was Mike Ironman, who we're good friends with. He's kind of come up with the camp with me, but some of these guys are just the relationships, I guess, after all those years really start to add up, and it's a great experience.
Of course, how was that experience like going to the University of Chicago and becoming their assistant coach?
Well, I got to work with Leo Coker, who is an advocate for Division III athletics, and it's a great school. I mean, University of Chicago, I really got to experience like University of Penn, University of Virginia, and University of Chicago, and the Ivy League experience for student athletes, knowing that they're going to succeed after athletics was a great feeling because you knew they were, they didn't have to place their whole identity in sports. And so that was a great school, great experience. Leo Coker was great to work with. And that was kind of after I was done competing. I thought, well, after the 2000 Olympic trials, I kind of decided, I think I'm going to get into coaching full force. And so that job opened up. And then after that job, I was working there. I decided I'm going to get into coaching. University of Dubuque opened up. It was near my hometown, so closer in Iowa. So I took the job here, and I've been here since.
Of course, how is that feeling like getting to come back home and getting to become a head coach at University of Dubuque?
Well, it was a struggling program at the time. They hadn't won a duel, and so everything was, on the upswing. We started, starting to move up in the national rankings. At one point, we got eighth in the country in the team, and we started galvanizing a little bit more support. But it's in the at that time it was the Iowa Conference, and that's where my college was Central College, and so being in the Premier League, it's like the Big Tens, the Division threes. I thought it'd be a great experience to grow wrestling in the state of Iowa and at our program. And so Dan Gable started coming here. We built our camps here. We had over 600 campers with Dan Gable, and then I brought in guys like Brian Keck, who was one of my friends at the Olympic Training Center. He started coaching with me, and he built a lot of major events. And he's since passed away, but we just had some great people from Juan Venturi, who was my roommate at Olympic Training Center coaching here, Mike Mena, who was at Iowa when I was there. Now we have Dennis Hall, 3-time Olympian here. So I've really been able to expose the program to guys like Barry Davis, now an Olympian from Iowa here. He's working with our guys, real life gardeners. So it's been great for the program to just get around a lot of high-level guys and just see them knowing that they can dream big too.
Of course, as a head coach and a former Olympian, what has that been like? Obviously, bringing in other former Olympians into your coaching staff to have your players see.
Well, I was never an Olympian. I was number 4 at the Olympic trials, but I was, I trained with those guys and I beat Olympic medalists, so I know like they're human too. But I think it just gets our guys thinking like, hey, I can work as hard as he can. I can hit the moves he's hitting, and so I think it just gives them affirmation of like, hey, you can manifest this stuff from anywhere. And so it's just great having those great role models to hang around with and believe in them.
Of course, can you talk about the culture that you've started to build at Dubuque?
Yeah, it's a culture that I always wanted to manifest in Division three, that student athletes could have a experience where it's a family. Everybody gets an opportunity to compete, yet they can still go as far as they want. If they want to be an Olympic champ, that's an opportunity. You don't have to go Division one. If they want to, be a Division three national champ, they can get that done here. If they want to, if they have an off year and they need to kind of redshirt year, we now started a wrestling club where we took 4th in the country as a club team last year. And we were 8th in the NCAA. And then if they want to go on, we have the Olympic club. And now we've added women's wrestling. And so like our room is just 24/7. It feels like now nonstop. We have youth clubs. And so it's been a lot of exciting growth. And, it's this new athletic director is a big wrestling fan. He's been here now for 2 years. And, we've given him wrestling shoes, and it's been great. It's been great. So
Of course, as a head coach for the men's team, what has that been like? Obviously, also having a women's wrestling at your school too.
well, it's been great for our campus, and the wrestlers. You know, Actually, one of my wrestlers started dating one of the girls, and he's probably going to marry her. But they have relationships on and off the mat, but just that support in the stands. Our guys would cheer on the girls in the dual meets, and the girls come and cheer on the guys, and so it's brought our campus, I think, a little bit more unified, because some of the girls, one girl plays softball, and now our guys can go support softball. So I think it just builds a good camaraderie. And then also a lot of these girls are facing like the University of Iowa and Division One schools, so they have a chance to compete, at the highest level too. If they want to make the Olympics or wrestle D1, they can do it with our women's program.
What does a typical wrestle match look like?
It's a great question. So we have 3 styles in wrestling. We have freestyle, where you can attack the upper body and the legs, and we have Greco, where it's just upper body can't attack the legs. And then so for our women's program, it's NCAA freestyle, but for our men's, it's called NCAA folk style. And so they don't get as many points for, if you hit like you roll somebody through or expose their back, you can get points in freestyle. But definitely it's a battle of positioning and wills, and the wrestlers can kind of decide how they want to go about winning, and they get to define who they want to be when they compete. If they want to be open tie, if they want to be a tie-up wrestler, if they want to top wrestle. There's just a lot of ways to win and compete, and there's a lot of tactical fighting, kind of like you'd see sometimes in UFC, where they're like, well, I don't want to go on the ground, or I want to wrestle here. And so inside that, there's conditioning, mental toughness, all those things in a match. And so um, outside of the points and scoring, it's just a lot of mental stamina, and obviously the training starts to show. Any weakness in your training, whether it's your mindset or certain positioning, will show. And so it's a great area for personal growth and development for anybody that wants to challenge themselves, for sure, that way.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that Dubuque uniform for the first time, the singlet, and your seniors putting on that singlet for the last time?
Yeah, that's a great question. For this freshman, it's great because I think for a lot of them, it's excitement. Like, they're starting to manifest themselves wrestling in college and seeing themselves succeed. For the seniors, it's a lot of times it's just knowing, like, seeing how far they've progressed and who they become in those 4 years, and that it's not really ever over their continual growth, because they've shaped a lot of their life philosophy about, just how they want to approach their life and what success means to them, and the work ethic and the traits they have about it. So it's really rewarding outside of even just their achievements, just to see how far they've come and grown their senior year in the singlet.
What is that like as a head coach, seeing them go on to professional wrestling, whether it's AEW or WWE or the national team route?
Yeah, so most of my guys are, going on to careers, but probably a percentage of them are going to stay. We got a plan for guys to train through the 2028 Olympic Games in LA. Some are training right now for April to try to make the Paris Olympic trials for Olympic Games, but it's great to see them have those goals and that vision, and making that dedication to it, and at the same time knowing, like, you know what their paths are, and that they have an option with their degree. And so some of them are going to have jobs and work. So some of them, are going to just train full time. But it's great to see them know, like, hey, they can set down goals, and then they're not afraid to make the sacrifices to obtain those.
What are some of your future plans for the Dubuque program moving forward?
Well, by the 2028, I'd like us to win 3 national titles in the NCAA, and I'd like us to have 4 or 5 guys on the Olympic team that medal for the USA. And I would love to continue to see all of our alum and all the wrestlers that have wrestled for us, come to those events and see the view from the mountaintop and get there together and share the experience together.
What advice would you give those first time wrestlers out there that are entering their freshman year?
Just keep the lessons you learned in wrestling. Every time you get knocked down, get back up, keep fighting, never quit. Just keep persevering and never give up.
What advice would you give those seniors looking to go compete in the national team for US or go to WWE or AEW?
A lot of the same advice. Keep getting back up, and never quit. I know when I was watching my teammates like Brandon Slay, his first U.S. Nationals, he went 0-2. In fact, I don't think he won an international tournament and then won the Olympic gold. And Rulon Gardner, Olympic gold medalist, never won an NCAA title. Just your past doesn't define your future. You decide your direction, and you can keep going that direction if you don't give up.
That's great advice. What advice would you give those future coaches out there looking to become head coaches for a men's wrestling program?
Same thing, never give up. If you have a passion for coaching, I think it's the greatest profession out there. It's investing in people in the future. There's no more rewarding opportunity than to work with others and helping them reach their goals and become the best versions of themselves. And so, just get with great coaches that care about you, and then, that will help you, get the experience, but also give you that reference and connections when you want those opportunities. So I've had 4 of my guys coach college wrestling, and 2 of them never really, well, I should say, but one didn't wrestle after his freshman year, but we stayed in touch. And I called the athletic director personally. He's now at Arizona Christian College, and Michael Butterfield doing a great job. I'm just really proud of him. Like, our guys, honestly, as a coach, seeing my guys turn into coaches gives me as much joy as watching win on the mat, because I know they're going to win in life helping people. So yeah, just never give up, and Chad Cook, one of my other wrestlers that fought on their drop, and I just called him up. Their relationships never leave. I said, hey, I want to help you find other jobs. Just knowing that as a coach, it's like a big family, and those guys are, you care about them the rest of your life. You want them to succeed, into their all the way through life.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find the Dubuque men's wrestling program on social media?
That's a great question. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So Instagram, I don't know. I think it's just UD. Oops. So, yeah.
Thank you again, Coach Jon McGovern, for your interview, and best luck in your future at Dubuque as the head men's wrestling coach.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jon McGovern, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.